What if I told you the word brainwashing is actually stopping us from asking the most important question about cults? Stick with me because today we are going deep into the language of fanaticism, the myth of cult, follower, and honestly, the cults you might already belong to without even knowing it. I'm talking about your spin class, your startup, your Instagram algorithm. This is Cultish. Now, let's start with the big one, brainwashing. Every time a documentary drops about cult, Jonestown, Heaven's Gate, the same word comes up over and over again. That is brainwashing. Like it explains everything. But there is a thing nobody tells you. Brainwashing isn't a scientific concept, it's not a test table. It's not even a real psychological term. It's a metaphor. And a lazy one at that. Because the second you call someone brainwashed, the conversation ends. You basically said, these people are mindless zombies. And I obviously am not. It feels good, it feels superior, but it explains nothing. The real question is the far more interesting one is what is actually driving people into these groups and why do they stay? That's where it gets interesting. Now, what is even a cult? Now, let's understand. There is no agreed upon definition of the word cult. None of the scholars has been arguing about it for decades. In fact, a lot of experts just avoid the word entirely because throughout the history it's basically has been used as a label to trash any religion that society doesn't approve of yet. Catholics, Mormons, Baptists, many Native American religions all once considered dangerous fringe cults in America. The country founded on religious freedom. Let that sit for a second. And there is actually a famous line in the religious study circles cult plus time equals to religion. And the word itself, it hasn't always been sinister. Back in 1600s, cult just means offering made to gods. Pretty innocent. It wasn't until the mid 20th century and specifically the Manson family murders in 1969 and Jonestown massacre in 1978 that word became something to fear. But here is a twist. Almost immediately after it became scary, it also became cool. Cult classic, cult following, cult beauty brand. Now the word means everything and nothing all at once. What is exactly and why the author Amanda Montell coined a new word for all of this is cultish. Now, so, if brainwashing doesn't explain cults, what does? One word language. This is a most underrated idea. The whole conversation around cults. Language is actual mechanism. The chants, the buzzwords, the secret terms, the redefined vocabulary, the us versus them slogans. This is how cult leaders built an entire alternative realities in people's minds. As a linguistic professor, John E. Joseph puts it, without language there is no beliefs, no ideology, no religion. They literally cannot exist without words. And here is the unsettling part. Once you know what this language sounds like, you start hearing it everywhere in your office, in your fitness studio, on your social media feed. Charismatic leaders from Jim Jones to Jeff Bezos to your soul cycle instructor all are pulling from the same linguistic playbook. Okay, now let's have a real talk. We all like to think I would never fall for that. But here is what cult survivors and researchers actually say. The people most drawn into history's most notorious groups weren't desperate or gullible. They're bright, open minded, idealistic, the kind of people who you genuinely believe they could fix the world's biggest problems. Their weakness wasn't stupidity, it was optimism. A deep, sincere belief that something better was possible and willingness to sacrifice for it. And then, once they are in, the same cognitive biases that affect all of us kicked in. Sunk cost fallacy, confirmation bias, optimism bias. These aren't cult follower problems. These are human problems and they can be triggered with the right words. So, one last thing the author said is that she wrote it for dad. In 1969, the 14-year-old, her father, Craig, was taken by his parents to live on a remote socialist commune outside San Francisco called Cyan. He escaped at 17 and went to the become neuroscientist, a man whose literal career is question everything and demand proof. And growing upon his stories, the rituals, the language, the psychological control, Amanda learned two things simultaneously: healthy skepticism and deep curiosity. That tension is what this book is. A question, not a verdict. Not why are these people so, but what is it all about of us that makes belonging so powerful, and what makes we are willing to believe to get it. And that's a wrap up for today's episode. For more exciting, interesting book summaries, subscribe to our channel and send us your favorite book that you wanted to have summarized. Thank you.